Don't translate. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Input English. This episode is called Don't Translate. It's important. Don't translate. There are several reasons you don't want to approach your learning the English language translating. It will betray you. It will sink your ship. You don't want to do this. Here's why. First of all, English is not your language with a bunch of different words. No, it's not the same. Each language is a system of communicating thoughts, desires, impression, information, instructions between two brains. It's actually what humans have dreamt about for years. I wish I could communicate my thoughts to that person, or I wish I could travel in time. I wish I could know what so-and-so was thinking. Well, if they wrote it down, they told you. So languages allow us a form of time travel because the thoughts from the past are communicated to us in the present by literature. So each language is a system for transferring thoughts from one brain to another. And in order to use each language, you have to know the language, not just the words. If you substitute word for word, translating between languages, you'll make huge mistakes. You will not understand the other people, and they will not understand you. So for that reason alone, don't translate. There are more reasons. Next, you don't have time to translate. If every sentence coming into you gets translated word for word to your native language while you're doing the translation, the conversation has moved on. You'll never keep up. And if you're trying to translate English into your language real time, what you will see is that English speakers speak way too fast. The only way around that is to learn English as a language, not as a translation drill. If you're doing it with translation, you'll never be able to translate quickly enough to understand people. If you're translating between your language and English, you'll never be able to find the words and the grammar in order to speak with confidence. You're starting to get the message. There are a lot of reasons for not trying to translate between these languages. The next reason to not translate between English and your native language is the subtlety of each language. Each word has a meaning, but almost always more than one meaning. And the meaning that we understand that a word has depends entirely on the context. So if you memorize the equivalent word between your language and English, then your understanding of the English language will be so superficial that it won't be useful to you. When you learn language with comprehensible input, you hear each word in context, and you get used to that context. And so you start to develop a mental image of all the relationships that that word has to the rest of the world. You don't want isolated words that are only connected because they're associated with a single word in your original language. No, you want a robust understanding of these words, and the only way to get that is context. When we say comprehensible input, what we're talking about is learning languages in context. Another reason to not translate is translating word for word makes it tempting to start memorizing lists of words. And memorizing isolated words is not a way to learn a language. It just doesn't work. Now, how do I know that? Because I did it. I did it decades ago, and it didn't work. I've said many times before in these videos that in high school, I learned a lot of words, and I learned a lot of grammar rules. When we were learning German in high school, it was a whole lot of translation. One word to another, one word to another. And when I tried to buy groceries in Austria, I could list a whole bunch of words, or I could conjugate a verb, but the people in the store were not interested in hearing a list of words from me, and they were certainly not interested in my views on verb conjugation. They wanted to know what I wanted to buy, and I couldn't tell them because my language learning in high school was built primarily on translation, memorizing lists of words, and learning grammar rules. So, to summarize, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a betrayal. It's a trap. When we're in school, we are taught to acquire language by memorization, studying the dates of wars and the names of kings and queens and the names of countries and capitals and major cities. We are schooled that way. And the reason that education tends to do that is it's easy to measure. It's easy to measure a child's progress if you can measure the information that he or she has committed to memory. The problem is languages don't work that way. And so if you try to memorize a bunch of words and then use translation between English and your language, it's just not going to work. That's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed these thoughts on language learning. I invite your comments below, and I hope you join us in future videos. See you soon.